If you've been thinking to yourself lately, I've got to start looking like I've stumbled out of some mysterious forest, or a mushroom house, or a fantasy novel, then this is the lookbook for you. Today, obviously, as you can see by the title and thumbnail, we are exploring the aesthetic of fairycore. Now, I know people can have some righteous irritants around the term aesthetic and the concept of aesthetics, and I certainly agree that there is more than enough of random throwaway, trend grabbing, fleeting, momentary aesthetics. But to me, fairycore is one of the main aesthetics and can easily be its own kind of pillar, I guess, in terms of different subgenres and categories and aesthetics of fashion. What I like about it is it's not definitive enough to be like, okay, what is this like hyper specific, not very inclusive idea of a style? It's very easily able to be defined, but it's also very expansive. When it comes to fairycore, there are so many different ways that you can approach it, endless color options, endless pieces and silhouettes and ideas. It's also very inclusive. It's very DIY friendly, very thrift friendly. When I heard the term fairycore, then I kind of saw what the visual manifestation of that was. I personally really connected to it, and ever since I first heard that term, it's been really helpful on figuring out why I like certain pieces, why I'm drawn to certain things, and how to find those things. And of course, also how to style them into outfits. And while I do agree with the consensus that sometimes the rampant aesthetic and labeling and putting in boxes can be harmful and negative, I do think that fairycore is kind of one of the OGs and not a silly waste of time in my opinion. So just in case you're not familiar, and also to give you a visual guide so you're understanding my reference points for my outfits, let's talk about what fairycore even is and look at some inspo. And then after that, I have a total of 25 outfits for you all. Although fairycore is like an element of my style generally, I did try to style these outfits as specifically to the theme as I possibly could. So I did try to step out of the box a bit here. So fairycore, it's in the name, pretty obvious. It's an aesthetic that revolves around the concept of fairies, essentially, but it's kind of expanded to be a little bit of just whimsy and magic in general, more on the fantasy end. Think less witchy, more fairy tale, but I think there is a ton of overlap with fairycore and cottagecore and whimsy goth and other witchy styles and earthy, natural styles. What I love about fairycore and what kind of sets it apart from the others is that there's a stronger emphasis on play. So there's a lot of fun materials, a lot of interesting motifs. Like I said, it's very DIY, thrift friendly. So you'll see really one-of-a-kind pieces in this kind of aesthetic. When I think fairycore, I think of ruffles and sequins and pleats and beading and embroidery, lace. I think of little trim details like this. My necklace has pressed flowers in it. The jewelry is often referencing nature. It's very eclectic, and I particularly love fairycore when it pulls in nature as much as possible. So having bags or shoes that look like leaves, floral details to your outfit. I love rough materials mixed in like tulle, even some kind of rope and things like that. I think you could incorporate into this style. There's lots of drapery, lots of flowy pieces, movement, and everything is kind of incorporated in this eclectic, found over time, personalized kind of way. Like you have gathered these materials and items from thrift stores, from small shops over time, and generally a fairycore outfit will kind of have this mix of texture, of age. I think it's really fun to play into the idea that you are a character and pairing old and new. Come on up. But I love the idea of pairing old and new, having almost like a treasure chest kind of personified outfit, if that makes sense. Little keychains and charms and trinkets, jewelry, belts and bags. Overall, when the look comes together, it has a very PC, personal, fantasy, natural kind of feeling to it. A lot of the color palettes are neutral, so greens and browns. And for colors, I would definitely lean into more natural kinds of saturations. So no like hot pinks or neons, but pastels, earthier, burnt kind of shades, colors that are naturally occurring in nature. And all around, the silhouettes on these outfits can vary, and obviously you can put your personal stamp on it, but some key pieces are flowy skirts, flowy loose tops, long sleeves, anything that has like fun little details like cap sleeves, puffy sleeves, like fun neckties and things like that. I think of lots of layers, tiers of things. So maybe you have like a stacked maxi skirt or a dress or something like that. For footwear, it's lots of flats and boots and things like that, things that you could generally wear in nature, or again, something that's kind of emulating that. But once again, there's about an infinite amount of ways to approach this concept. And so I think it's a very accessible style for anybody to try. So whether you're new to trying out the style or you're not afraid to try anything, I think Fairycore is something that everyone can kind of dabble with and take a look at and get something from. Having that sense of play and magic and nature, all of those things are really important to me and my personal style, pretty much every single day. So I really enjoyed leaning into this idea of fantasy while getting dressed. And while I, reference it in subtle ways on the day to day, it's definitely inspired me and encouraged me to explore my wardrobe through this kind of lens a bit more. So with that said, I think I have sufficiently yapped, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of the video. For this first outfit, I kept things simple and started off with a plain white base. I like to start things off by looking at shape, and I think this is a good example of how you can keep the colors and palette pretty minimal but still give off a Fairycore kind of vibe. Details like ruffles and puff sleeves and lace and collars and peplum and sheer all really give off that look. Silhouette definitely matters here, but you can also play around with your pieces and style them a little bit differently like I did here, and I really leaned into the feeling of the top, going for an eclectic, almost piratey kind of style, but you definitely feel that fairy inspiration in there still, with the green scarf tied around my waist and the paisley skirt. All the details come together and give off a whimsical, witchy, woodsy kind of feeling. I like that this outfit is a bit feminine and girly, but it still maintains a sense of adventure to it. This is the perfect outfit to go prancing around in a bed of moss in a forest somewhere. Easy, simple, cute. I really love how the layering and shape and proportions of the outfit turned out here, and I really love that baby pale shade of pink against that deep brown, the white lace. It all looks really pretty together. Overall, I just really love the color palette, and I really like all the textures that are going on as well. A key element of the Fairycore style is experimenting with textures and layering different kinds of pieces together. So the top is this kind of paper bag almost material, and you have a braided leather belt and a white lace skirt, a beaded golden bag. It all comes together to create a sense of fantasy. It's not hard to create a magical kind of feeling with layering from ordinary pieces. You really don't need anything special. It can be achieved with your basics. Now I threw my elf ears on quickly just for laughs and so you get the full effect, obviously. But I took familiar pieces in the same base as before and kind of just rearranged them differently. I definitely prefer the previous version, but I wanted to see how the green and pink paired together, and I do think there's potential there. We're just experimenting and trying things out and seeing how it looks. And with this outfit, I veered into a different direction, and I'm calling it Garden Fairy Tea Party, and I obviously was going for a Garden Fairy Tea Party look. I went extra springy with this blue floral dress, lots of ribbon, and a sun hat. It's giving strawberry shortcake a little bit too. Overall, I think this is a very sweet, very, very cute look. So I balanced that out with this next one by making it a little bit grungier and edgier. I went with darker accessories this time, but the outfit still maintains its sense of whimsy and girliness and playfulness. Again, there is an eclectic mix of materials going on. There is this natural, handmade, homemade kind of feeling to the outfit, but the look is still cohesive and grounded by that dark brown color, and then those touches of sweetness with florals and ribbons and lace. I wanted to start incorporating more pants looks because I know I am incredibly biased towards dresses and skirts, but lately I am completely obsessed with pairing them together. It's honestly the comfiest outfit I could ever think to wear, and I love how effortless and cute it feels. I dressed things up a little bit with some accessories like this cool clock necklace. Yeah, so this look is for you if you're a fairy on the move, Having that added layer of the pants really makes this outfit super, super cozy. I switched out some pieces here and dressed up things a little, and I really love how it turned out. I think the colors are amazing together. It seems like truly any shade of pink, green, or brown is going to look magnificent together, and I love how the florals on the dress play with the florals on the boots. I think this version of the outfit feels a little bit more structured and polished, but I still like that it has that free-flowing, nature-oriented feeling, and the mix of materials creates a really magical effect. I've never thought to belt this dress for some reason, but I'm really glad that I tried it because I love the way it looks. It defines that shape even more, and it's so cute. This time I used the dress to create more of a gown kind of look. I attempted to dress it up a little bit more by adding this sparkly white bag and the blue skirt underneath, and I also tied ribbons around my ankles just for an extra little whimsical touch. I think I should have kept the belt here, but overall I do like the color palette. This skirt feels very Fairycore, and so I wanted to play around with it a little bit more here. I went for a fancier evening look as if I was going to a fairy ball or something like that. I don't think the colors match super well here, but I do like the interesting shape and tiers and layers and silhouettes it creates on the front of the dress, and then how that flows into the different levels of the skirt. I think sequins and beads and anything shiny and textured like that is very Fairycore and adds an element of whimsy and sparkle. It makes any look feel magical. I tried styling this dress one more time, and again I feel like the colors are just a little bit off. The differences in saturation is just kind of throwing me a bit, but I do think the concept with the layering is there, and I actually would steer away from black accessories in retrospect because I think brown just kind of suits this idea better. It feels a tad too modern and clean, and instead it should feel a little bit woodsier and natural. I tried to correct that a bit here, but you can see what I mean about the accessories. Just a little too clean and contemporary, but I do really love the color palette going on here, and I did try to do something different with shape, and I played around with how I tucked the shirt, but my favorite thing about this outfit is definitely the colors. It looks very pretty. It's a new day and a new outfit, and this look is very simple and straightforward, but I think it's very cute and hits the brief. The colors and all the different textures complement each other so well, and it's springy and happy and pretty, and I think it's super cute. I always feel like I'm some kind of little plant when I wear this dress, and I think this look is so adorable. I did try to layer on this dress a little bit more this time, but it does look a little bit crowded and messy. Again, the concept is definitely there when it comes to the layering, but something about the colors and the textures is just throwing me off. There's just a little too much clashing going on, but I do think the odd mix and seemingly random pieces really go together and give that old vintage antique collected kind of feeling. I went for a darker color palette this time, and I wanted to try to do the fairy aesthetic, you know, outside of pastels and shades like that, and I do think I pulled it off successfully. I think this outfit is super duper cute, and even though it is modern, I think that the pieces really work together and play off one another because there's so many interesting textures going on, from the embroidery of the corset to the corduroy of the skirt to that knit material of the sweater. It is slightly autumnal, the color palette, but I do think it works for the upcoming spring. It makes me think of earth and nature and flowers. The outfit is polished while still being playful. All around, I really like this look, and I think it would be equally cute, if not cuter, with a nice pair of tights added to it. I wanted to style the skirt a few more times because I feel like it's one of those pieces that probably everybody has but is scarred because we all wore it the same way, you know, for a consecutive few years straight. So I was having fun playing around with it and coming up with new, more inventive ways to wear it. This outfit is very simple, but I still think it's giving fairy because, again, the silhouette is very important. Those little puff sleeves, the crop of the shirt. The color palette is a mix of bright and colorful and fun and balanced with earthy neutrals. I really like this look because it is simplified and wearable and really easy to rock any day, anywhere, any place. Now, since I played it kind of safe with the last one, I decided to go really weird and crazy with this one, and I did go experimental with the layering. Once again, I can't say that the color palette works, but the idea is there. I'm not in love with the fit and proportions of the outfit, but I do think the concept is interesting of juxtaposing those almost earthy, more natural looking pieces with something like lace and black, and depending where you take the colors and silhouettes, you can definitely change a lot about the look. Once again, I do love the fall vibes of this outfit even though we are in spring. I stay determined to try to make this lace idea work, and unfortunately I can't say I'm a huge fan of this one either, but I can respect myself for trying something different and wanting to style this dress different than I typically do. Maybe it'll give you some cool ideas, but yeah, the colors are just not there for me. The fit is not quite there. So I took a few steps back, went back to basics. I think this one is much better, although much simpler, but I do think this is quintessential Fairycore. It's fun, it's playful, it's natural, it's springy, and sometimes less can be more when it comes to this sort of thing. If you have a few basics that are kind of in the Fairycore style, like my cowboy boots, a few different scarves and bags, and a dress like this one, pairing those things together is honestly enough, and hair and makeup can go a super long way, but sometimes you gotta keep things simple, and that's exactly what I did with this next fit too. This dress is so beautiful and it truly speaks for itself. I didn't want to layer anything on top and take away from all of that beautiful detail, so I let it be the star of the show. And if you're lucky and able to find a piece like this dress, then it's truly all you need to create a beautiful Fairycore look. I kept the accessories clean, sweet, and minimal. Any way I style it, it's going to feel magical and pretty and fancy and Fairycore. But I did want to attempt to do something different with it instead of just wearing it plain, so I belted it and layered it on top of 2 different skirts, and as you can tell by my twirling, I really love this outfit and how it looks and moves and feels. I love how everything flows and swishes around together. I love how the layered skirt effect looks like a tiered cake or something, but each hem gets to stand out and look unique against each other, but it all comes together very well as well. And I think those shades of blue against the white and the different shades of brown look so beautiful. I really love this color palette. I never really thought to belt this dress either. I'm not sure why, probably because of the drop waist, but I think it looks really good here, and I just love how everything comes together. But I wanted to give styling this dress one more go, and this time I chose to style it as a top. I added this vintage lace cover up on top and then the belt, and then I added some pants, and I think it worked out pretty well. As you can tell, I've been really loving dresses over pants. I think the collar and waistline help it to work particularly well as a top. Since the pants are a nice cool tone gray and a similar shade to the top, it almost looks like an extension of the dress, so I think all these pieces pair really nicely together. And then I styled those pants one more time, just a little differently this time, and I opted for a pink color palette instead. I layered 2 dresses on top of each other, and I like the sheer effect and how you can see the silhouettes poking through. There's so much volume on top and it's so poofy, it makes me feel like a cupcake, which I kind of love, not gonna lie. But I love the almost cartoonish shape of it all, particularly how all the fabric gathers in the front area. It all kind of folds over into a pleated sort of shape, and I think it looks really cool, and I like the way it moves together. All around, I think this proves that you can take a lot of different shapes and silhouettes and pieces, even pants, and pair them together in a specific kind of way. And with that intention, it definitely comes across as Fairycore. But I continued styling that dress, this time with a tank top on top. I was curious about how the colors would mix together, and I wanted the tank top to create almost kind of a corset effect where it tightens the dress and creates a different kind of shape for it. And I think some extra accessories are maybe needed, like a scarf or a belt around the hips, but I think it looks pretty good. I tied some ribbons around my ankles for an extra dainty detail. I added a necklace and some cute clips in my hair. And all around, it's not my favorite look of the bunch, just because I think the color palette is a little bit one note, but without a doubt, I can certainly say this outfit is Fairycore. Just needs a little bit of refining, but I think all the details are right, and overall I really like the shape and feeling of the outfit. For the last look, I layered a slip dress on top of that pink dress. I then took a handful of that top dress and gathered it with a hair tie, and then I used a strawberry pin to secure the knot and hide that little bump. I added this pink straw bag again because I think it feels very Fairycore, and all around I think this look is very cute. Again, pretty minimal and all around a little bit one note, but a lot of this video has involved a lot of experimentation with layering, and I definitely think I've learned a lot. Getting the layering right really is a huge part to this aesthetic. It's okay if you don't know where to start with that, just start grabbing things and throwing things together. That's how most of my outfits are achieved anyways, but all in all, I had a really great time dressing in this particular style. So that was all 25 outfits. Please let me know which one is your favorite. And I'd love to know your thoughts on the Fairycore style. How has it influenced you and the way you choose to express yourself? And let me know if there are other aesthetics you would like to see me try out in this way. I do like making these videos. I think they're fun. Always a great way to get out of a rut and approach your wardrobe from a different perspective. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. As always, I greatly appreciate you spending your time on my videos. It really does mean a lot to me. And I truly, really appreciate all of the support. Seeing everyone's kind words definitely inspires me to keep making content like this. So thank you. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.